Hello, everyone. I hope you guys had a good weekend. Starting the week fresh and having some other ideas. So I want to talk about how lately in the past month or so, I really feel like I've been drifting. And what I mean by that is it's almost like my life so far has just been very on autopilot. And I'm just reflecting on all the habits or old hobbies that I used to do. And it just feels like, I'm really taking a step back and I'm really trying to analyze it, see the bigger picture. And it just seems like with some things I've noticed that I'm just not liking anymore. I mean, maybe it's just me getting older, or maybe my life just wants to change into a different direction. I'm not quite sure, but maybe you've been feeling this too. Where you just, you look at the past things that you've been doing. Maybe it was some hobby you loved enjoying, and, maybe it's even a video game that you've been playing for a long time. Maybe it's even the friends that you always hang around. It's almost like it feels like with me, how do I say this? It's like there's something pushing me into a different direction. Like, I really do feel like the reason why my mind is drifting and not necessarily lost or what direction or what path I should go into, because I have been doing a lot of self-reflection lately, and I really do feel like I know what I want to do now. And it did take a long time to really figure this out. But I do realize that part of the problem was, nothing wrong to the friends that I've been hanging out with and all that, but I just feel like me personally, it's like I almost have to be in this moment of solitude and really work on myself, if that makes sense. Like, I'm probably still gonna hang out with them and I'm probably still gonna do things with them, but see, the problem is it's really hard because, part of me wants to stay in that, it's very comforting. You do the things with your friends. Maybe you play video games together. Maybe you do some other hobbies. Like, maybe you go on, like, hikes with them, or maybe you're like, you work together with them. I mean, that's a little different because I feel like there's different friends that you could have. You could have friends at work, which are more like acquaintances. I mean, you could still be their friend outside of work. But I'm more talking about like the friends that are outside of your work, that you don't see at work. And I don't know, I've just noticed that it's like deep down inside, I feel like in order for me to truly grow as a person and to truly change and shift my path forward to becoming the best version of myself, I almost have to go down this path of solitude and self-reflection and I really do think that's the way to go. But the problem is, you have this duality where you want to go back and just not even think about this, because a lot of people know what they need to do, right? Everybody has their own situations and their own problems and issues, right? But I do truly believe, especially if you're older, like I'm 35, and if you're in your 30s, at this point you probably know, I mean, even if you're in your 20s, right, you probably, like I'm going to say mid 20s, like 25, 26, 27. At that point, you probably know what you need to do, but you just, either you're unsure of how to do it, or you're not sure if you could do it. Like maybe you feel like you can't do it on your own, or maybe you're so stuck in the autopilot of just living life. You go to work, you come home, and even though in the back of your head you know what you should be doing, but you don't do it because maybe you're like, well, I'm just so used to logging in on the computer, and you're waiting for your friends and you're trying to talk and interact with them, and you're gonna have fun with the boys or whatever. Like, trust me, I get it. I mean, I've been doing it for so long, probably 10 years now, and there's nothing wrong with that per se, but if you're not really growing as a person, then and here's the thing, I want to make it clear. Some people, they just want to work a 9 to 5, they get paid enough money, and on their weekends or even off work, they just want to chill. Nothing wrong with that. If you want to do that, good for you. I hope you continue to enjoy your life. But I'm mainly talking about like me individually. I feel like I've been missing something. Like I need, and I know that deep down inside I had this feeling. I did say the last month I've been feeling this kind of like I'm drifting in my head, and I feel like my head keeps going to like these different directions and different possibilities, and it's like kind of on. It's really odd because you know how usually that voice in your head, I think it's usually negative, right? But in this case, it's actually positive. So in my scenario, it's actually telling me, like, for example, it'll say in my head, like, you know that you need to take a different path. You know that you need to work on this. And it's like a small thing, but, and then, for example, I'll go home after work and then I'll think, okay, I'm just going to go on the computer and just play video games and just, talk to my friends online, like Discord or something, and then the voice in my head will pop back up and it'll kind of say like, oh, why are you talking to your friends right now when you told yourself after work that you were going to work on yourself, you were going to stay in solitude, and you were going to take a step back and analyze all your current habits. Maybe you're trying to get rid of some habits. Maybe you're trying to move forward and just kind of get rid of, maybe like you have a bad addiction with something, right? Like, you're not going to solve it all in one go, but you're going to get just baby steps, right? Just one day at a time, focus a little bit on something, right? So this will go in my head and I'll think, yeah, I know. So if you're confused, it's kind of like you're talking to yourself. You're hearing the thoughts inside your head and it's saying, yeah, well, and then you're kind of like arguing with yourself, right? I know it sounds kind of weird, but just hear me out. So it's like, you have that voice in your head. It's telling you, oh, well, you told yourself that you were going to change. You told yourself you wanted to change. But you keep just, again, like if you've been doing it as long as me for probably 10 years or more in this cycle where you just kind of like, you go to work, you're not really thinking about it, right? You just, you go to work, you get back home, and you just, everybody has like a cycle, a habit that they do. And for me, for example, I would just log in on the computer right after work, and I just like wouldn't even think about it. And this is kind of the autopilot I'm talking about. Like, this is why I'm trying to take a step back of just, what am I really doing? And I truly do feel like I became an NPC. Like it's like a drone. You're just like a mindless drone. You're just walking, you're doing your tasks. I mean, most people have to work, right? So that there's nothing wrong with that. But what do you do after you're off work, right? Are you actually changing? Are you like growing? Are you working on a business? Are you working, maybe you're going to school after work, and then, that's a good thing. But it's like, how many people are really doing that? And the main reason why I'm bringing this up is because, again, for me personally, I just feel like I'm missing something. And I don't know if you saw some other videos of me, but there was a video where I posted I think it was a week ago, probably over a week ago, where it's like an hour and 30-minute video, and I'm pretty much talking about me being a late bloomer, and it really took me a long time to grow up, and I'm not going to fault anybody but myself. Of course, you could maybe blame your family or your siblings or whatever, but I feel like it's better and more beneficial to have this approach of just blaming yourself for everything. Like, all the problems you have, blame yourself. And let me try to explain what I mean by that, because obviously not everything is going to be in your control, right? But how I look at it, so if I blame every problem that I have on myself, then what happens is I have to take full accountability for my actions. And the only way that I really start to change and make a change is by owning up that I'm the one that made a mistake. And regardless of it being actually you making the mistake, that's irrelevant to me. That's beside the point. Because when you have this mindset of all the problems in my life are because of me, then you start thinking of, okay, well, how do I get out of it? Instead of having, because the worst thing you could do is have a victim mentality of thinking, well, I'm not successful because of him, or I don't have these things because of her, or, my parents are the ones that really screwed up my life. I mean, it doesn't get you anywhere. And you don't really get outside of this box or this shell that you put yourself in, right? And then guess what happens? You become like a lot of people that have this mentality, like the victim mentality, where they just walk in life and they never really take accountability for their actions, and they never really push themselves like, wait a minute, maybe I am the problem. And once you start doing that, it really helps you to change and to really take a step back. And this is what I'm talking about in this video so far. This is what I'm trying to say. You have to take a step back. And that's what I'm doing, because I've noticed that the last 10 years of my life, I haven't really progressed. I mean, a little bit subtle things here and there. I've had probably about 3 or 4 different jobs. I mean, learning a couple new skills here and there, but in terms of where I feel like I should be, I'm not there at all. And, instead of just drifting and just be on autopilot, I really have to take a step back, analyze what's happening with my life. And, even if, in the past month, even if I just take a step back and I just, let's say, I'm trying to break the cycle. So let's say I go to work, then I come back home, and instead of just instantly, getting out of my work clothes and into like some comfortable clothes, and then logging in on the computer and just kind of like fully just focused on that video game, or maybe I'm watching a video or something, or like Netflix. Instead of just like doing that, now I want to maybe, I'll still change into some comfortable clothes when I get home, but then I'll just kind of, this might sound weird, but I'll just stare outside my window for like, I don't really time it. I mean, I just kind of, I'll just look out the window and I'll just wait. I don't know. I'll pretty much desensitize my brain so that I'm not thinking about anything. I just want to know where my thoughts go. Like essentially become bored. And I know that might be hard, or like, why would you do that to yourself? Like, it doesn't seem to make sense. But the reason for that is, I feel like in today's day and age, in the modern world, right, with technology, everybody has a phone in their pocket. Not everybody, but a lot of people also have the internet. They have a computer. And everybody's just overstimulated. And they're very stuck in the gears and the grinding of it's the rat race of just everyday life. You're not really thinking about what you're doing. You're just, now, like, a lot of people do this, like doom scrolling. I don't do that as much. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I have done it before in the past, but I do fall victim to watching videos on YouTube. That's definitely the case. I mean, I watch many videos on YouTube, so to me, it's like the same thing. It's just I like watching longer format videos versus just short 10-second clips. Everybody's got their own hobbies and their own interests. Nothing wrong with that. It's just, so I just noticed that even myself, I have to de-stimulate my brain. So I have to pretty much, I'll just come home and I'll look out the window, and like I say, I don't really time it, but sometimes I think I let my brain go maybe for like 10 to 30 minutes. I think sometimes I've even looked outside for 45 minutes, which seems crazy. It seems absurd. When you're used to like looking at your phone and always looking at something, or you feel like you're on the computer, you're watching a YouTube video, right? It's like you're always doing something. So it could seem insane. So maybe the first 5 to 10 minutes will feel like an eternity when you're trying to desensitize your brain. Like you're trying to desensitize your dopamine receptors. So in the beginning, this is going to feel like it's impossible, but I'm going to try to do this for yourself, because what ends up happening is when you're bored and you're thinking about stuff, whatever thoughts come to your mind, maybe nothing comes to your mind. There's nothing wrong with that. The goal here, there's really no goal. The goal, I guess you could say, is just let your mind think of whatever it thinks about. There's no goal really, right? So generally what happens to me now when I do this sometimes, pretty much to like unplug from the cog, right? To unplug from reality and to unplug from the overstimulation and the dopamine that you get. Like, just let yourself be bored. And when this happens, to me at least, sometimes I don't think about anything. I just think whatever, right? I'm just staring out the window looking at a cloud, or maybe I'm looking at a building in the distance, or maybe I'm just like paying attention to the cars passing by. I mean, it doesn't really matter what you're doing. But then sometimes, what I have noticed that a couple of times this has happened to me. I don't know what time it is. Like, maybe it'll be like if you want a number, maybe we'll just say like 15 minutes in, right? It's so odd, but I'll just think about things that I did when I was younger, when I was like just becoming an adult, like, or even just when I was, when I first got a job and I was like earning my own money for the first time, and I just thought, what do I really want to do? And it was so odd to me. I was like, wow, I haven't thought about this in so long, because I've been just stuck in the hamster wheel, just working, and just, being mind-numbing to just, social media and video games, and just, watching TV and shows and movies. And it's just, it was just so odd to me. And it was so surreal. Like, I really started just thinking about, what do I really want to do? Like, what did I really want to do when I first became independent? And for me, it's a lot different than most people, because I was a late bloomer, and I didn't move out of my parents until I was 26. Before that, I was very much really locked into the internet, and that's all I did 24/7. I mean, I still play now. I'm still on the computer a lot, but a lot is relative. I mean, like nowadays, in the last month or so, it's kind of like 50-50. So some days I'll just go out for a walk and I'll just kind of hike. That's like a new hobby that I picked up. I just started hiking, and I'll record. I'll just make some videos, or maybe I don't want to record. I just want to like think about stuff, just wherever my mind goes, I kind of just want to be liberated and just kind of have peace with my thoughts. But in the past, and then also I would, I'll go hiking, for example. Sorry, I'm like losing my train of thought. But then like other days I will, like if it's like an off day, I'll just like play. It's weird though, because I can't play all day anymore. And this is kind of the issue that I was trying to bring up from earlier. Like, I feel like the old hobbies that I used to do they're just not the same anymore. And this is the weirdest part about it. This is what kind of made me go a little bit like, take a step back and analyze, is it like me the problem? I don't really know. But it's like I have friends that I've, been talking with online for a long time, last 10 years, last 15 years, right? And they're about the same age as me. And they still are fully addicted to the internet. But I feel like I'm not. Or they're fully addicted to a video game and I'm not anymore. And I mean, I don't think this really matters because, people, they fall out of interest with things all the time, right? I mean, just because you're friends with somebody doesn't mean like you have to like everything they do and you have to be, perfect in alignment, like together. But to me, it's not just that. I would bring up to my friends, maybe this is the wrong thing, but maybe I shouldn't do this, but I would bring up to them, like, I really want to just learn a new, like, do something new, like do a new hobby, find something that I'm interested in, again, that's not just online, that's not just, video games or computers or, like I want to do something else. And whenever I try to bring this up, it's like, it's almost like I feel like I'm a lone wolf. Like my friend group online and in person, like my coworkers and stuff, it's like they don't really get it. And I don't think that, maybe they're not supposed to get it, maybe they're not supposed to. Like I have noticed that too. Like, maybe because everybody has a different experience in life. Like what they decide to, change as a habit, or maybe what they decide to keep focusing on, they're in their part of life, in their moment in life, they're still doing that. And I'm just at the point where I want to move forward from it. And I don't want to just be stuck in this headspace anymore. So, yeah, I mean, I've been slowly breaking the habit, breaking the cycle. So now instead of, I'll go to work and then instantly when I get back, instead of just instantly going on the computer, sometimes I'll just look out the window for like an hour or like 30 minutes or 10 minutes, whatever the case may be, right? And then if, let's say I think about, what I said earlier, like, oh, I'm thinking about what I did in the past. Oh, what were my hobbies that I wanted to do when I first got a job? Then now instead of just thinking about it, I'll actually do it. So if it said like, oh, I used to want to go on a hike, and then now I'm actually doing it, and it'll be after work, and I'll just go on the hike, just spontaneous. I'll just go for it, and then I'll completely forget about that game that I've been playing for so long. And then this is also what kind of happens too, is the friends that I usually talk to, you know, because I'm like daily checking in with them all the time, right? And then now they're like, what happened? Where have you been? Like, I thought you said we were gonna play together. I thought we were expecting you to come and, you know, raid with us or do a dungeon with us, and then I'll just completely forget about it, and I won't even think about it, and I'll just think, oh yeah, I did say I was gonna do that. So this is kind of like, you know, I'm trying to break from the mold, but I think now what I do is I'll let them know. I'll say, hey, I might go for a walk today, or whatever I say. I'll say, oh, you know what? I think today, I'm just trying to do something new. And like, when you do that, even if it's a good thing, it's kind of weird, but they'll think, they're like, why are you doing that? Like, what is this for? Or the problem is they're not going to have the same thought process or mentality as you. So they're going to not get why you, for some reason, stopped having interest in this hobby that you've had for so long. And you're not really going to know why. You're not going to know how to explain it to them. See, deep down within you, it's going to make sense, but they're not going to get it, really. So that's the problem. So yeah, I mean, it's getting kind of dark outside, so I've noticed that it's doesn't look as good right now, but yeah. Anyways, until next time, my friends, stay motivated, stay passionate, but most of all, stay true to yourself.